Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, relations between France and Mali take a dramatic turn for the worse as Bamako gives Paris's ambassador to the country just 72 hours to leave. Relations have been frayed since Mali's army first seized power in 2020. Also, after a 3-year freeze, Rwanda starts letting in truckers over its border with Uganda, but the restrictions still stand for the majority of traffic. Traders who've seen business suffer are desperate for the normalization of fraught relations between the neighbors. And the people's horse streaks to victory. Kommetdieding, a favourite for the 2022 Cape Town Met, delivers, as he should. The name really does rise to a challenge. It means bring it on, and he did. But first, Mali is expelling the French ambassador after what it says were hostile and insulting comments about its transitional government. It's the latest in an escalation of tensions between Mali and former colonial power France. The crisis could put into question a French-led anti-terror military operation in Mali, as Selina Sykes reports.
The announcement was made on national television and signalled the latest escalation in tensions between France and Mali.
The French ambassador in Bamako, His Excellency Joel Mayer, has been summoned by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. During this exchange, he was told about the decision taken by the government to ask him to leave the country within 72 hours.
Bamako said the decision to expel France's ambassador was in response to, quote, hostile and insulting comments made by the French Foreign Affairs Minister. Jean-Yves Le Drian last week condemned the forced withdrawal of Danish troops, part of a joint European mission to fight jihadism in the region.
It's a new sign of recklessness. This junta is illegitimate and it's taking irresponsible measures.
His words, in turn, prompted a strong response from his Malian counterpart.
Insults aren't proof of greatness. We are willing to discuss with France or others on serious matters. This isn't about being irresponsible. What we are trying to do is defend the interests of our country.
Relations between Mali and former colonial power France have soured since the army staged a second military coup in May last year. Another source of tensions is the presence of Russia's Wagner Group in Mali. Paris had previously said any deployment of Wagner mercenaries would be incompatible with its own mission. 3 weeks ago, after the junta said it would postpone elections, West Africa's economic bloc ECOWAS slapped Mali with tough sanctions, including border closures and a trade embargo. The move sparked mass protests in the Sahel country. Many in the streets held anti-France and anti-ECOWAS signs.
An ECOWAS delegation met with ousted Burkinabe President Roch-Marc Kaboré on Monday and has reported that he is well. The MPSR military junta that took over the country is led by Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Demiba. On Monday, they declared him the president and removed the Army Chief of Staff and head of the National Intelligence Agency. The constitution has been reinstated except for any parts that contradict a new charter. Meanwhile, the crisis has led to a suspension of the long-awaited trial of 14 people charged over the killing of leftist leader Thomas Sankara back in 1987. His family says that proceedings may restart this week. Truck drivers have been allowed over Rwanda's border with Uganda for the first time in a 3-year standoff. Relations haven't fully returned to normal yet, but Kigali says that the land border will be open to essential travellers until COVID-19 precautions are brought in. Now, the freeze has been devastating to traders who operate between the two countries. Rwanda first shut the crossing in 2019, accusing Uganda of backing rebels. Michael Ahagen tells us more about the limited but important progress that's taken so long to achieve.
This dispute goes beyond normal diplomatic tensions because the protagonists have known each other for decades. President Paul Kagame of Rwanda was brought up in Uganda as a refugee, and he fought in Museveni's rebel army in the 1980s. When, in 1986, Museveni seized control of Uganda, he made Kagame his head of military intelligence. And in the 90s, it was from Uganda that Kagame launched an invasion of Rwanda to halt the genocide happening at that time and took control of the country. And their families, their inner circles have been deeply intertwined for this whole period. Nowadays, Museveni accuses Kagame of interfering in his intelligence agencies, and Kagame accuses Museveni of harbouring contemporary Rwandan rebels in Uganda, claims which both sides deny.
And who was involved in getting things moving again at Rwanda and Uganda's shared borders?
Just over a week ago, Museveni sent his son, General Muhoozi, to the Rwandan capital to talk with Kagame. And that led to today's events, the border reopening at least partially. Museveni is in his late 70s. He hasn't named a successor. And independent Uganda has never had a peaceful transfer of power. For a decade, there's been speculation that General Muhoozi, who's now a key military figure, has been the front runner to inherit the presidency from his father. That move would be deeply controversial in Uganda, where many citizens are wary of further entrenching Museveni family rule. And so General Muhoozi's role in brokering the reopening has been closely scrutinised here in Uganda.
Moving on, at least 10 people have reportedly been killed in Kenya after their minibus was hit by a roadside bomb near Mandera, close to the frontier with Somalia. The vehicle was then fired upon before a nearby patrol forced the attackers to flee towards the border. No one's yet claimed responsibility for the attack, but police suspect al-Shabaab extremists. And former South African President Jacob Zuma was back in court on Monday to again try to get the chief prosecutors in his corruption trial dropped from the case. Last year, a High Court judge rejected Zuma's argument that the state attorney was biased, and the former leader's now hoping to appeal against that ruling. Zuma, who was president from 2009 to 2018, faces 16 counts of fraud and racketeering for allegedly accepting bribes from French weapons company Thales over a 1999 arms deal. In January, Tunisia's government launched an online national consultation process on the political system. The responses could shape constitutional and legislative reforms, which President Kais Saied plans on putting to a referendum later this year. Now, he's hoping to bolster his authority after he sacked the government and suspended parliament last year. Our team reports.
In this youth center in a working-class neighborhood of Tunis, several people are taking part in the national consultation process. Employees help those who don't know how to read or don't have internet at home. The questions refer to the political system, the economy, and culture, very broad issues with multiple choice answers.
عندها القدرات باش تفهم النشاط الاقتصادي والسياسي خاصة العمل الاجتماعي أغلبيته مفهوم.
But in this cafe, many doubt that it will help solve Tunisia's challenges.
وبعدين الاستشارة ما عندها باش تزيف لي يعني كتزيف ديك تصلح البلاد أو تزيف نقول الاستشارة هذيك راهي باهية.
Others, like this unemployed man, have signed up out of curiosity. Some questions explore everyday problems.
قلت لك ما هي أهم الحلول لحد من البطالة بجهتك. هذا أصل الداء في بلادنا، خاطر هذا الموضوع نعاني منه، هكا انتم لقيتوني في قهوة، تو ديجا أنا في الوقت هذا عاطل عن العمل عندي بريود.
It's unclear how the responses will be treated and who will consider them. Since its launch, the platform has drawn many criticisms, especially around transparency. The anti-corruption watchdog iWatch has called on people to boycott the survey.
iWatch, elle a exprimé sa crainte que l'argent public soit exploité dans l'élaboration d'une consultation fictive au service d'un projet personnel du président de la République et surtout que ça pose vraiment plusieurs problèmes par rapport à la fiabilité.
The NGO says that there's no information about the committee in charge of collecting the data. Opposition groups have denounced the project as a political stunt.
And fans of one of the glitziest events on the Cape Town horse racing scene witnessed the historic victory of local favourite Kommetdieding. The racer won the 2022 Cape Town Met at Kenilworth Racecourse over the weekend. A big win for a small stable with the steed known as the People's Horse. Our correspondent's report.
It's 7 a.m. in Cape Town and training starts early for the racehorses, but the star of this small suburban stable is Kommetdieding. He won the Durban in July. The racegoers are here to watch him just before the most prestigious Cape Town race of the year. His owner expects the world from him.
No, definitely it was a surprising horse, and never in a million years did I think this horse will actually put me on the map one day.
Ashwin is a builder and bought Kommetdieding as his first fully owned racehorse 2 years ago for €2,500. Against all odds, the fall turned out to be exceptional. For Michelle, his trainer, his story is a real-life fairy tale.
He was bought for reasonably cheap money, and I think he's made people realize that dreams can come true.
A dream come true in any case for Ashwin, who has since invested in around 40 racehorses. Kommetdieding won him his first R1,000,000 and the support of the community, who call it the people's horse.
They love him, and there's a lot of colored guys that actually came up to me and asked, how do they go about owning a racehorse?
Ashwin is proud to have entered the exclusive world of South African racing. Ahead of the big day, his number 5 was Gambler's favourite. Nevertheless, in the owner's private box, the atmosphere remained tense up until the end.
Get closer, linebacker, Kommetdieding, these two left to fight it out. Kommetdieding has now taken the lead. He's coming home best of all. Kommetdieding wins the bet. Kommetdieding wins the bet.
Ashwin dedicated his victory to his grandfather, whose passion for racing he inherited. His horse is now worth millions, but he says he'll never sell.
He said to me, can you remember those days when we were youngsters and we were standing downstairs here and the other people were all standing here on the balcony in the apartheid era? Gone are those days. It's our time now, so I'll never sell my horse. It's our time to stand there and the people look at us now.
2 years younger than his competitors, 4-year-old Kommetdieding is expected to have a magnificent career ahead of him.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.